Ding. Alrighty, good morning, everybody. It is Tuesday, August 8th, 2023. We're going to do some rapid fire review here of Friday and Monday so we can get into the pre-market for this morning. So if we go back to Friday, if you guys can remember all the way back to 3-4 days ago now, we came in on Friday morning and I warned you guys, let me pull up the 60-minute here and scroll this back to Friday. I warned you guys, if you go back to the pre-market from Friday morning, that if we're trading within the previous day's price action, which was basically the low around 45.05 and the highs right up around 45.50 here, I warned you it was going to be a very choppy situation inside of that price action. And I told you on Friday that I probably wasn't going to be trading unless we could actually really appreciably get outside of the highs of the day before, I guess Thursday's highs, or get below the lows of Thursday's lows. And so Friday, let's go ahead and see what happened here on the shortest time frames. We never really broke out either way. There were some peaks through the high that never really got anywhere, and then the market got swatted back down. So let's take a look here. The market opened, I might have even told you guys right when it was opening here that we were testing right into the 200. Could have been a nice opportunity. So coming right before the open, the market bounced, and this is just really this is what happens so often. The market held the scaffolding in the overnight session nearly to the tick. It popped up, and then here, just a couple minutes before the market opened, got a rejection right off of the next scaffolding level, and then pulled back and bam, right into the 200. Got a nice launch out. So coming out of the open, we got our first condition, which was to get through the high of the day before. Of course, not just by a couple ticks or a couple points right here, but an actual hold above. But that first condition was met, and then we pulled back and held the 200. So there were two beautiful opportunities right out of the open on Friday morning. Did they go for a 50-point push? No, but they were beautiful trades. You could have got probably about 10 points on the first one, or just under 10 points, and well over 10 points if you bought that right out of the open. And then we got a peak above and fail, so we came right up into the high the day before, pulled back, and then made a slightly higher high, and then we started to get a pullback. And what did I tell you about Friday? Trading within the previous daily price action was going to be really choppy. So let's look zoomed out here a little bit. What happened? And it just chopped up and down. We got a fake out through to get the bulls on board to break out of the high the day before, and then it ripped right back down. So it was very choppy, as I warned you. So let's look at some of the notable things here. Again, the two holds off the 200. We had our peak above and fail right through the high of the day before, and then it came down and held right into the holding orange power level there for a little 5-point bounce. Rejected one tick in front of the 200, and then we broke through VWAP. So there was your clue that maybe this potential breakout that looked like it was going to happen was over with. We came down through the VWAP here, and then from there got this really nice healthy pullback, holding the FMA basically the whole way down. And then they came right back to the scaffolding here, and sure, they peaked through by about 2 points there, but then held it nearly to the tick twice, and then started to come back up. And like I said, very choppy on Friday. Beautiful pullback right to the 200 to the tick there for, again, another attempt by the bulls to go ahead and push higher. They pulled back and held the 200 again on the way up. Again, getting back through VWAP. Here's the crossover of our two moving averages. Here's the 200 getting through VWAP. And then there was your opportunity, the two pullbacks to the 200. And then we popped up, and if you zoom out and look, this was one of the major retracements we had up above us, and the market went ahead and peeked through it just a little bit here, even held it to the tick on the upside, and then pulled back and then held it to the tick for the sell-off. And then again, this is that pullback. Once we broke through the high the day before and got up to the retracement, it failed right back down. So it was a totally messy day, which is why I warned you guys at the open to be very careful inside of all that price action. And then it just sold off. Beautiful holds off the fast moving average multiple times. held the 200, held the back end of the low of the day before, and then right at the end of the day here, two more beautiful holds right off the 200. So if you started to notice that we were failing and getting back below VWAP, 200 now crossing below VWAP, price coming down through 50% of the day before, being a bear probably would have been a good idea. And again, there were your two beautiful holds off the 200, or three holds towards the end of the day on Friday. And then interestingly enough, the low of Friday was what? The next major area we were expecting to hold, the retracement level, that swing high, and that little zone from about 96.5 to 98, about a 1.5 zone right there that made sense to hold. And sure enough, that basically was the low of Friday, and our scaffolding was what? Just a couple ticks away from the actual low. So not surprising that we got a major rotation there going into the end of the week there, and then into our glowback session. You can see we followed through here, and we're coming back up into Monday. And again, I told you guys about these glowback sessions and all these beautiful holds that we get off the VWAP and the 200. And here is another beautiful example. If you were looking at this on Sunday of this week, pulled back right into the VWAP here in the fast moving average, pulled back into the VWAP again, and got a pop up. So this was all of Sunday's glowback session. And then what do you know? We come up to the tick again. Just blows me away, even though it happens so often, right to the scaffolding. And then that brings us into this really nice healthy pullback. So this was Sunday, and then this is the New York Open on Monday of yesterday, right? So yesterday was August 7th. We weren't here. The trade room was closed. I was unable to be up and ready to do it, like I warned you guys. So coming into Monday morning, what do you know? The market rips up and fails right off of 50% of the day before. It also was, if you zoom out and look at the retracements, if you look at the high of Friday, which was a nice healthy leg, if I pull up the 60-minute chart here and we go over to look at what we would have seen here coming into yesterday, we had this very healthy sell-off on Friday with a very clear, rotation all the way down to the low of Friday, and then this bounce back up. So we had a really nice fib leg coming down. So we had a 38, a 50, and a 61 retrace there. So zooming back in here and looking, where was this? Zooming back in here, give me a second, got mixed up there. So right into the 50% of the day before, pulled back, we held the scaffolding for two tests, and then popped up and held that previous scaffolding that we held in the pre-market. Okay, and then came up and continued to try to test into 50% of the day before and could not get through. Pulled back again, held the back end as it was selling off, holding the back end of the 200 and scaffolding, and then came down and rotated once again right off our scaffolding level to the tick, and then a nice little shy peek through. And then came up, and this was the interesting thing about Monday yesterday. We came up and held 50% of the day before, pulled back, and actually if you look at this in the overnight session, we bounced and held the 38, came into the scaffolding, essentially 38% retrace, pulled back, came up to the 50% retrace, held it nearly to the tick, peeked through it, pulled back, held our scaffolding, and then came up to the 61.8 retrace of the leg down from Thursday's high to Thursday's low, and held it nearly to the tick here for multiple pullbacks. And then we pushed up, and the high of yesterday was what? Our scaffolding level again. And we literally failed off the scaffolding here within a tick or two, and now we're getting this major pullback coming into this morning. So that brings us into this morning. Interestingly enough, held the back end of the VWAP there, held the back end of the VWAP and the 200 here in the overnight session, and now we're continuing to sell off, holding the FMA, and now we just held the 200. All right, so some beautiful price action despite how choppy the market's been. Still getting some beautiful holds off all the levels that we watch. And this brings us into today's pre-market. So let's go ahead and jump up to the higher time frames.